Hi everybody, happy Saturday. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie. I am 48 years old and I am on a journey to beat my obesity that I have been battling my entire life. And if you are one of my besties, welcome back. So today what I wanted to do was a video to talk about a lot of the products and some supplements that I have found to be particularly helpful on my GLP-1 journey. I do not get paid for any of these. None of these are paid promotions. I have no affiliate links, I'm sorry to say. So as of September 13th, 2025, I am not sponsored or paid by any of these products or services or anything that I am about to talk about. These are all just things that I actually have used, that I found myself, that I found to be very, very helpful on my journey. So let me start with the things at the beginning that I used, because things have kind of changed over time as I have progressed throughout this process this year. At the beginning, I was having a little bit of constipation. That was probably my primary side effect. I know a lot of people really suffer with a lot of other things like nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, but for me, my main symptom was a little bit of mild constipation. So what I used in the beginning was this. It's psyllium husk, and it's just basically plant fiber, and you mix it. It's just plain. You just mix it in some water, mix it up, drink it down. You have to drink it with enough water. If you don't take fiber supplements like that with enough water, it can actually make things worse for you. So, make sure that if you are having that, take that, start once a day. I kind of go all in when I'm going to do something. So I did it 3 times a day and it worked really, really well. My husband takes that. He's not on a GLP-1, but he takes that to stay regular on a ketogenic diet. And he finds that 1 serving of that a day seems to work pretty well for him. Now, over time, I stopped using any plant products. If you have seen some of my other videos, you might know that I am doing a carnivore diet currently. And so I am not taking any, or at least the very bare minimum you possibly can. I'm sure maybe a supplement that I take here and there has some kind of plant material in it. But anyway, I'm essentially not taking any plant material, including insoluble fiber. So what I have switched over to using is a magnesium. This one has 7. I found it. It's called Women's Best Magnesium 7 Complete. I wanted one that had all 7 different types of magnesium. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but I know that some of the more popular magnesium supplements these days do seem to have all 7, or at least 7. I don't know, maybe there's more than 7. But this one has 7 forms of magnesium. If I'm having any constipation, which I do still have from time to time, more lately than I had before, I'll take a couple of these, once a day, maybe twice a day, but go slow because you can overshoot the mark with this. I have found you can go from having constipation to having the opposite problem if you do too much. So for me, I just take a couple of capsules. Usually that's all it takes, like 2 capsules a day for like maybe 2 days, 1 to 2 days, and then that seems to solve my issue. So yeah, that's the one I use. There are lots of different ones out there. This is the one that I use and it seems to be working fine. So that is for constipation. As I have said, I really didn't have too much in the way of any nausea or anything like that. The times that I have had a little bit of mild nausea, all I had to do was pop a Pepto-Bismol and I was fine within half an hour. So if you are having just a little bit of that, that might work for you as well. But obviously, if you're having severe nausea, you really need to talk to your healthcare provider. There are some things that they can prescribe for that. So if you are, if you're really having a lot of nausea and vomiting, that's going to get you into a bad situation pretty quick in terms of dehydration, and that's really not a good place to be. So reach out to your healthcare provider and see if there's something that they're willing to prescribe to you, or they may recommend that you lower your dose down. Sometimes it's just a matter of, you're just really sensitive to that dose, and you might be able to get away with doing less than what you're doing. Now that gets a little tricky if you are using the pens, because I think most of the pens that people can get, they're just one dose and you can't really split it. They're not, some people have adjustable pens, I think, but I don't know if that's available in the US or not. And I know that the vials from Eli Lilly Direct, you're not supposed to take a partial dose. They do not have resealable, reusable vials. So talk to your healthcare provider though, if that may be an option, or if they think that that might be something safe that you can do instead of using the whole vial. See if they think that it would be safe to use a partial vial, so that you can kind of cut down on your dose or do something more like microdosing, which I'm not going to get into because I don't do microdosing. So I don't really have any firsthand experience with that. So I can't really tell you on that. Other people do microdosing, especially if they're getting theirs through a compounded pharmacy, but I have always gotten mine through Lilly Direct, and I've pretty much been staying on the straight dosing schedule that they have, starting with 2.5, and then I eventually titrated up to 5, and then I went most recently, which was back in May, I went up to 7.5, and that's still where I am right now. Seems to be a very effective dose for me with very, very minimal side effects at all. Again, except a little bit of occasional constipation, which I've had lately, and so I just take my magnesium and we're good to go. In the beginning, one thing that I relied upon a lot, because they really are talking about protein and getting yourself some protein, and I found that, I experimented with a bunch of different protein powders, and I found some that were pretty clean, like only 3 ingredients, and really pretty tasty. But sometimes, I was just like, oh, I don't feel like getting up and doing anything. Like I was a little tired, especially I think when that full-on appetite suppression really kicked in for me was about on 5 milligrams. And there were some days where I really just didn't feel like cooking. I didn't feel like mixing up a protein shake or anything. So having some grab and go kind of protein source was what I really leaned into at the very beginning, just to make sure that I was getting my calories and just to make sure that I was getting my protein in. So I don't really drink this anymore because I'm not, because now I'm carnivore at the moment, but I really, really loved this shake. It's called Nurri, Nurri. It has 30 grams of protein, 150 calories. It's still pretty low carb. It's only 3 grams of carbs, and pretty low fat, 2.5 grams of fat. I liked it because it really had fewer ingredients in it. It still has a fair amount of ingredients, but it's skim milk, cream, cocoa, salt, natural flavor. So, there's a few other things in there as well. But I found that was sort of a cleaner version of like a grab and go off the shelf protein shake. And they're delicious. My husband was drinking them and he's not even on a GLP-1. He just tried one and he's like, that is really good. It just tastes like almost a thick chocolate milk or something like that. It's really delicious. So I like the chocolate one. I never tried any other flavors. I think they do have some other flavors. I had originally found this at Costco, and then I recently just saw it at Walmart as well. So these were just really, really handy for me in the beginning, and just, it was the only thing sometimes that was appealing to me. I didn't want to eat meat. I didn't really want to eat a full meal, but I really did need to get my calories in and some protein as well. So this is one that I really liked. It ended up being one of my go-tos at the beginning, for sure. So what else is important? Okay, obviously water intake is a critical component. You have to stay hydrated. You have to drink your water. For me, drinking plain water is like, I can't make myself do it. If it is plain water, it'll just sit there in my cup and I will like ignore it all day. And no matter how much I try to make myself drink it, I simply cannot do it. I went and I bought myself a cute little glass cup to keep my water in, and that helps a little bit. But I have found that I need to flavor my water with something. Now, I think electrolytes are pretty much across the board recommended if you're on a GLP-1. You can be losing fluids, obviously, especially if you're having significant symptoms. But also I think, just you can forget to drink and forget to be hydrated. So they really do seem to recommend electrolytes on a GLP-1, and especially if you're going to do something like me, like a ketogenic diet or carnivore diet, that flushes out your electrolytes even more so. So staying hydrated with electrolytes is very, very important. A lot of people use another brand. I don't use that one. I was a little annoyed about the fact that they have maltodextrin in them and it's not disclosed on the label. Maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe it doesn't affect you at all. But I just like transparency, and I found it to be a little bit annoying that that ingredient was not disclosed on the label, and it still is in the flavored varieties of that brand. I'm not going to talk about what the brand is. You can do your research. I'm not going to badmouth anybody, but anyway, I prefer this brand, Salty, S-A-L-T-T. They use stevia, which, it does not seem to have any effect on my blood sugar. It doesn't seem to have any effect on my insulin. It doesn't seem to have any effect on my ketones. And I like these. I usually get the variety pack, but one of my favorite flavors is the melon. So I have a whole pack of that, and I take about 1 to 2 of these a day because I'm trying to drink. This is a 40-ounce tumbler. I try to drink at least 2 of those a day. So if I do drink 2, then I usually have 2 packets. I have this with every tumbler of water that I have. They also have some other variety of flavors that I like. It's called the cocoa variety pack, and they have caramel and chocolate. And if you have never tried electrolytes in your coffee, I find it to be quite a treat. I don't put anything else in my coffee. I don't put cream. I don't put sugar, no sweeteners or anything like that. So oftentimes I will drink my coffee black. But I really don't actually like that. I just do it because I don't want to put anything in it. But these electrolytes, especially, I like the caramel one is my favorite one. Honestly, only need like half a pack, unless you're going to be having a huge quantity of coffee. I mean, it's very salty. There's almost 1,000 milligrams of sodium per packet. And just so you know, there's 421 milligrams of potassium and 182 milligrams of magnesium in each packet of this. So for the coffee, I find it to be a little bit strong to have the whole packet, but you do you. But it's actually quite a treat. The saltiness isn't as prominent as you would think that it would be, at least not for me, but maybe I'm used to drinking salty water at this point, so your results might vary. But my husband likes it too. He tested it out, and now I think he drinks it in his coffee as well, just because it's just tasty, and it doesn't add any calories, or 2 calories, I guess. And like I said, it's sweetened with stevia, so there's no sugar, and the stevia should not have any impact upon your blood sugar. But if you happen to be type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, I think it would be worth trying it and seeing, just to make sure that for whatever reason, if the stevia impacts your blood sugar, you should be aware of that. I don't think it's supposed to, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't know for sure. So that's just my non-medical advice for you. All right, what else? Oh, so another way that I like to drink my water is, I love my Pellegrino. If it's sparkling, I like it. It's a crispy, nice, it feels more hydrating. I'm sure it's not, but I love my Pellegrino. So if you have had a hard time getting yourself to drink your water on your GLP-1, try to think of ways to make it more tasty for you. If you haven't tried a good San Pellegrino, I highly recommend it. If you haven't tried a good electrolyte. Now, if you don't want to use these, just be aware that there is wide variation in what is in them. So, I went to just the grocery store and I looked up some of the ones that are on the shelf, and there's some that have a ton of sugar in them, which I don't think that's really what we want to be doing. Even if you're not on a keto diet, I don't know that you really want to be drinking sugar water. And the sodium content was really, really low. Now, I'm not sure. You're going to have to talk to your healthcare provider. I am not on blood pressure medication. And so, and being on a ketogenic diet, I have a little bit more wiggle room with my sodium. but you want to talk to your doctor about what level of sodium they're comfortable with you having per day. So these, like I said, these have almost 1,000 milligrams per packet, which is fine for me. But if you're on blood pressure medication, or you have hypertension, or you have some other issues like that, where sodium might be an issue for you, there are some brands that I have seen that have a lot less sodium. Now for me, that doesn't work because I actually need the sodium. If you're not dealing with hypertension and high blood pressure and things like that, and especially if you're going to do a low carb or ketogenic diet, you do need a lot more sodium. But if you're eating more of a standard diet with a lot of processed foods, then you have to be a little bit more careful with your sodium intake. So I would discuss it. If you're going to add electrolytes to your daily routine, talk to your doctor about which ones they would recommend for you. If 1,000 milligrams per day or more is going to be too much for you, then definitely see if you can find some other alternatives. But I know that there are tons of different brands out there, and some of them do have much lower sodium. So that might be a better fit for you. But, find some that fit whatever it is that you need, and hopefully don't have too much sugar, I guess I would recommend. And then maybe that'll help you drink your water. So I've been kind of doing about 80 ounces of water a day. Probably should be doing more, but that's about all I can seem to force myself to drink. I probably get a little bit more on the weekends because I'm home, and if I have to go to the bathroom a million times, it's not so disruptive. But when I'm at work, I really can't do that. I'm working with patients, clients during the day, and so I can't just get up whenever I want to, and I'm busy. But on the weekends, I tend to do more workouts. I go outside more. I'm hotter. I'm more thirsty, so it's easier for me to drink more on the weekend. But I think you're supposed to drink something like half of your body weight in ounces, and I'm not quite there, but I'm actually not that far off, because right now I'm sitting at about 183 or something like that. And so, half of that is 90 ounces, and I'm almost there. And then if you count, I'm sure I drink 10 ounces of something else during the day. So I think I'm doing okay. Anyway, now this one is not specifically GLP-1 related, but this one is for my ladies. This is a product that I have been using for years, anytime that I feel like I might have a urinary tract infection coming on. This one is called Urinary Harmony by Au Naturel. Urinary Harmony. It's D, Mannose, and hibiscus. And just follow the dosing on the bottle if you get this. I usually just get this on Amazon now. But anytime I feel like I might have a UTI coming on, or even just some like bladder sensitivity and stuff like that, this one has been a lifesaver for me. I used to get UTIs all the time. I want to say 10-15 years ago, and I started using this. I don't use it regularly now. Now I only use it if I feel like I might have something coming on. But for a while, I think I took just the maintenance dose of this for probably a year. And really ever since then, knock on wood, I haven't really had too many issues with this. But like I said, every time I feel something coming on, I will use this. And again, this isn't necessarily GLP-1 related, but I had to do a PSA for my ladies. All right, now this one is going to be specific to only people who are doing a ketogenic diet or carnivore, but I'm still going to recommend it anyway. These are ketones. They're called exogenous ketones. So these are just pure ketones. Ooh, oh no, it was open. These are just pure ketones in a little stick pack. They're just wet little ketones, and you can just pour them in water. This particular brand is from Dr. Boz. I follow her here on YouTube. She's amazing. She's a physician, and she can teach you how to do the proper ketogenic diet to resolve all kinds of metabolic problems. She helps people reverse their diabetes all the time. And she has lots of great products, including these. These are sour. Imagine the most sour lemonade you've ever tasted, but with absolutely zero sweetener or sugar. That's what it tastes like. However, these can be really good. If you are like me and you ever struggled to make ketones, I tried a ketogenic diet many, many years ago, and I really, really struggled with it because I just barely could ever make any ketones. And that's kind of the key. If you're restricting carbs, but you're not making any ketones, then you're in a really miserable place, because what is your body using then for energy? You probably are using your muscle for energy, because you can't, if your body can't make the ketones and run on the ketones, and it's not running on carbs, then you have zero energy. So what I've learned since then is to kind of help kickstart your body into using them and knowing what to do with them. You can take some ketones as a supplement. And these ones are just pure. There's like nothing else added. There's like, I don't know, they probably have a few calories, but there's nothing else added to them. No sugar or sweeteners or anything. And it's just a quick way, you know, you can drink it down. Then it's very, very sour. And they are pretty expensive, I will say that. But I think that it really helped. It helped me get into a ketogenic state, into a state of ketosis and producing more ketones effectively. And that really did make a difference for me. I was able to kind of, now I don't need them very often. I take them every so often just for fun, but I don't need them anymore. So now my body can produce its own ketones very, very efficiently and effectively. But that can kind of get you over the edge. Now, I have actually heard of some people who are not on a ketogenic diet taking them because ketones actually supposedly have some benefits for you in terms of preventing muscle loss and muscle wasting and stuff like that in a low calorie diet. So I have not done a ton of research on that, but that's definitely something that I had sort of seen. So it might be interesting to think about supplementing with them, even if you're not on a ketogenic diet, just to give your body the benefit of having those ketones present. Might be something to think about. I recently started taking this supplement. It's called Balance Oil by BodyBio. And what it is it is omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in the right ratio. There's a lot of information out there about needing to get enough omega-3s and how a lot of us are having too many omega-6s. And so a lot of people are just supplementing with omega-3s so that they can get the proper ratio. But what's missing in that equation is that the quality of the omega-6s are actually essential. We have to take in omega-6s, but they get such a bad rap because the ones that we're usually taking in are rancid seed oils and, you know, rancid fats and things that have damaging effects on our body. But that's because it's in the processed food. It's not that omega-6 fats are actually bad in and of themselves. It's just that the way that we usually get them is in processed foods, which does turn them bad. But we actually need good omega-6s, and, you know, we don't get enough of them. And obviously most of us are not getting enough omega-3s anyway, and so we want to boost that. So this oil has good, excellent quality omega-6s as well as omega-3s in the right ratios. So I just recently started taking that one. And that's supposed to, you know, just nourish your cells, nourish our body. We need those oils. They're essential for us. And so I've been taking that. Now, the last two, I have saved the best for last. These last two products / supplements, I added these in probably in June. I added these things in, and interestingly, even though neither one of them has any claims on this whatsoever, they seemed to improve the effectiveness of the medication dose that I'm on. So I had started 7.5 milligrams in May, and I was almost ready to just titrate straight up to 10 because I was not getting very much appetite suppression. I wouldn't say the food noise came back. I don't think that was an issue, but I just really wasn't getting very much appetite suppression at all. And, you know, my weight loss was pretty slow, and, you know, I wasn't really satisfied with 7.5 at the beginning. And I think I was on week number 4, and at that point you're allowed to titrate up to the next dose. And I was about to do that when I started these. And ever since then, 7.5 milligrams has been more than enough. The appetite suppression came on strong. It has lasted. And I find that when I'm consistent with these two supplements, that seems to stay the case. When I lighten up on them or forget to take them or whatever it is, then the appetite suppression seems to be less. So I'm saving these for last because I think these are really, really interesting products. And, you know, if you're struggling where you don't want to go up in a dose, maybe you were having really bad side effects and you finally got rid of the side effects, but now you're losing effectiveness with your dose, maybe adding something like these things in might help you stay on the lower dose of medication without needing to go up. And I have been able to stay on this one now for this whole time. You know, we're early September and I've been going strong with 7.5 milligrams. I've lost the most weight on this dose so far. And I think it's at least in part, I think there's other things that I've done that I've talked about in other videos, but I think at least in part these supplements. So I'll start with this one. This one is also by BodyBio and it's called PC, which stands for phospholipid complex. So one thing that I have learned on my journey so far is one of the foundations of ill health or problematic health or disease processes, and things like obesity, among a myriad of others. At the core, we're talking about cellular health and cellular breakdown at the mitochondrial level. So, you know, as we age and also as we eat poor quality foods and poor quality nutrition and, you know, the lifestyle that we live that might not be the best, our cells take on damage, in particular their outer layer. And the outer layer of cells are made up of lipids. And over time, if you're eating the wrong foods and you're not providing your body with the right lipids, those cell membranes break down, the cell stops working as well, including the mitochondria, which make all of our energy. And I think, you know, I don't even know all the things that mitochondria do, but they're like the foundation of life and health. And so by providing your body with a therapeutic amount of this, the technical term for it is called lipid replacement therapy. And it's just systematically, as you take this lipid complex, over time, you're restoring all of your cell membranes, giving them all of the really good, healthy lipids that they need in order to function properly. And over time, they've shown mitochondrial improvements, cognitive improvements, I think also some natural detoxification. It helps with, you know, all kinds of things on the cellular level. So I've been taking that. I started with a very teeny tiny amount. I think the maintenance dose is just 1/4 teaspoon. And now at this point, I take 3 teaspoons a day, and I may even go up from there. But I have noticed that, interestingly, my skin has gotten better. I've had this sort of crepey, dry skin on my hands that's been bothering me. It makes me feel really old. And since I've been taking that, I've been noticing some improvements on that. And I guess it makes sense. I mean, everything in your skin all the way down, you know, to your cells is covered in lipids. And if you restore them, then that might restore some youthfulness to your skin as well. So that's one that was a game changer. Now this little guy is a device that you put water in and you press the little button and it puts molecular hydrogen in your water. Now, obviously water already has some hydrogen in it. It's H2O, but molecular hydrogen is a little bit different. So this device, and the brand is Evolve, EVOLV, I think. It dissolves molecular hydrogen into your water, so it enriches your water with more hydrogen molecules. And there's a ton of research on molecular hydrogen, but I'm going to focus in on the one main benefit here, is that molecular hydrogen is considered a selective antioxidant. So that means that it goes where your body needs it, and it helps to balance out any oxidative processes that are going on. But the cool thing is, antioxidants, you can have too much of a good thing. So sometimes the body needs that process and actually relies upon those oxidants, that oxidation process. And so if you're taking like massive quantities of antioxidants, you actually might be undoing some of the benefit. But molecular hydrogen kind of is a smart antioxidant. So it knows what you need to do, and then it leaves the other ones alone so that your body has a good balance. It's not inexpensive. I think that thing cost me like $170 or something like that. But it's been a game changer. I take 3 of those a day. I take one about, first thing in the morning before I get in the shower. I take it before lunch and I take it before dinner. And same thing with this. I take this before breakfast, before lunch, and before dinner. If I don't eat, I still do take this. If I'm not eating breakfast or something like that, or if I'm not hungry for lunch, I'll still take that. And those 2 things have really helped with my appetite suppression, and I feel like they're healing me on a fundamental cellular level, and they're kind of a critical part of my routine. So that is it. That is everything. Those are the supplements that I've taken in the beginning and all along my journey. I hope that you found something useful or helpful in there somewhere, some kind of tidbit for you to use. And again, none of these are paid. These are just my opinions and things that I have found that have really helped me on my GLP-1 journey so far. If you want any more information on any of them, please drop me a comment down below. If you want any links, I will be happy to share it with you. So let me know. And again, if you have any questions about any of these that you wanted more information on, if I can help you out, I certainly will. So just leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to my channel. And if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe. I would love to get this content out to more people. And that's the way YouTube knows that you're interested in it. Thank you guys so much. Have an awesome Saturday. Bye.